Good morning. Well, that's when I'm making the video. It's Monday the 15th. I am opening my mouth for the first time today, realizing that, saying, okay, Dereck, get in gear. How are you all doing? You can let me know. So Richard Johnson, Richard Youngs. I guess Richard Youngs is an alias for you, Richard, or is that your real name, or Richard Johnson? But anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit about this record that you sent me. You sent me some CDs as well, but Sion, Orgon, Dust, a new release, 2021, by the Lumberton Trading Company. Yeah, I like this. What I want to share is that there is, I don't quite get what this is about. I sense something subversive, something very left field. I don't want to overuse the word dark, but there is kind of this kind of creepiness that's in some of the sound. The words haven't made an impression yet, so I don't know what this is about. Sonically, it's interesting, and I do enjoy the journey. Some reference points to me as I listen are like vocally John Cooper Clarke, Coil comes to mind. Paul Sandra is involved here, and from what I have heard from the man, he is a synthesizer wizard. And so sonically this is very interesting. Sion, Orgon, Dust. I don't know what it's about though. Richard, if you see this, I'm curious. This cover, what's with the cover? Why that image? What is that about? It's not that it's disturbing, it's just like, what the fuck is that? Why is that the cover? I really am curious, because it's like, I make records and we all have different sensibilities. And it's like, what? Thank you for sharing your work with me, Richard. I also noticed while kind of investigating this that you've released an album on Grapefruit Records, which is run by my friend Simon Joyner. Interesting that there's another connection to Omaha that I discovered between us. I appreciate that you send me your work, and I do have a sensibility that appreciates this kind of work, this world. Like, for example, the Hand and Leg. I listen to a lot of this, Lust in Peace. It brings to mind things like The Fall. But that's just from the memory of the listen. I need to come back to it. But my impression was that, okay, yeah, this is pretty cool. My quick impression of this one, Richard, which is a solo release of yours, Eicher, guitar, meditations is what it sounds like. It sounds like you're just playing the guitar and it kind of meanders. Okay, that's what it's kind of, after a while, it's like I took it off because it was kind of like, okay, it's just, he's playing. Those are first impressions. Thank you again for sending it to me, and I do hope that what I say, if it helps to spread the word about your work, I'm happy about that. Someone is going to get into this. Like, I do like Coil, but Coil, again, knowing a bit about their background, it's like those are people whose music I'll listen to. I don't know if I would want to be hanging around with them, okay? And I also know someone personally who worked with Coil, so I know. So, I hope I'm not saying too much, but I'm curious, what's going on? What's the story behind this music that you make? Thank you again for sharing it with me. Let me keep going for a bit, okay? Yesterday I shared, for some reason it came to mind to do it, to pull it and play it. I don't listen to this album much because it's one that is kind of blue. It's like seemingly the entire world knows about this album. I do agree with the general assessment that this is one of the most important jazz records ever made, perhaps one of the most important records ever made. The way this starts with that Bill Evans figure on the piano and the bass, it's timeless and it is so sublimely sophisticated. You're not sure what's going to come next, but you want to know. That's the feeling. It's like, ooh, what the hell is going on here? So here I'm showing my copy, which is a reissue, of course. I mean, it came out in 1959, and it's been repressed and reissued countless times around the world, and rightfully so. This is a really amazing experience. Well, here is my inherited copy that belonged to my younger brother Patrick, and this is an original 1959 mono 6-star copy. This is an original first press. I posted this online yesterday and got up today, and people are still going gaga about it. It's played, you know, the idea that you're going to find many copies of this in good shape, a first run, that's good luck. It can happen. And people do still find original copies of this for less than the collector's price. I do see that, you know, being the nerd that I am. But this has a lot of value, sentiment, emotionally, for me. It's an heirloom that has come my way because of my brother's passing, and this will be passed on to my nephews when they inherit everything here, because I've left everything to my nephews. This is a wonderful date. It's just can't say enough about it. Yeah, but this is like a holy grail in a way, like that John Coltrane album. I would never consider selling this personally for any reason, and these go on the market. A good copy of this, like mine, like this copy, $300 easy. No, it's an heirloom. It's worth more than greenbacks. Pulled this and played this last night, and a couple other kind of bluesy things. I do get into a mood where I'm feeling like that place musically, gospel-y, bluesy. I go there sometimes, but not often, because the world to me seems kind of stuck there, and my perspective on it is pretty unique to me. You know, don't know many people who feel like I do about hearing the blues and gospel too much, and what it represents to me about the American experience, which a big part of it is negative. Anyway, to get back to this record, Leonard Cohen, You Want It Darker. Loved the sound of his voice. He was quite the poet. You know, he really was a poet. A master of words. Took his time. Talk about someone who can say something and just load your mind with all kinds of images, thoughts, ideas, recollections. Leonard Cohen is one of them. All these years throughout my life, I've never bought his records because it wasn't the sort of thing I wanted to sit at home and listen to like Bob Dylan. But I've always respected him, and the white vinyl version here. So I quite enjoyed this. Really enjoyed the sound of his voice. Really enjoyed the sound of his voice. So along those lines, this is an album that I have had and gotten rid of, and then I had a chance to get this copy and bought it again. Stone the Crows, British blues band. The main reason why I keep this is because the cover is so good. It's a very bluesy, Maggie Bell on vocals, The guitarist got electrocuted on stage. Les Harvey, I think that's Alex Harvey's brother. Real tragedy that happened a long time ago. But I listened to this last night and enjoyed it more than I've ever enjoyed it. Raining in Your Heart, their version of the Beatles' Fool on the Hill was good on here. And then the sidelong I Saw America, I got into it last night. Stone the Crows, good stuff. But along the lines of what really trips my trigger, like the blues and boogie seems to, and stuff like that seems to trigger great numbers of people. This does that to me. Stuff like this. Henry Cow, Western Culture. This was their last proper album. 1980 is when this came out. And it's not easy listening, but that's a good thing. If you get through this album and pay attention to it, you'll come out with something more than when you went out in with. Just a whole lot of things happening on so many levels with this music. So much. Very, very important to me, personally important. Another one that doesn't get talked about, but I think this is, I highly rate this album. Heiner, Goebbels, and Alfred Harth. Durchdrungene, Mensch, and Indianer for Morgen. This is really cool. I mean, it's got so many elements. Jazz, electronics, even things that are somewhat like The Residents or something. Dagmar Krause is on here. This is an excellent album. Excellent. I went tripping into the past. A little spacey yesterday for a while. This is not an original. Those are hard to find. But this is fantastic. One of the best space rock cosmic music albums. I rate this highly. Mythos. That cover catches it. Yeah, this is especially side 2. Side 2 is like leaving the planet and going back in time. Like to a place where it's all foggy and misty and you're by the sea and you can't quite make out what's going on, but it's very mystical. Great album. Vangelis, Beaubourg. One of his more impressionistic albums, I would say, as opposed to being real melodic. I love Vangelis. And this is really good. Really engaging. It sounds like he's playing, literally. It sounds like he's playing, exploring, just playing. But it's really enjoyable. It's really good. Okay. So this came. Glad. See, so much happens. Mad if you see this. I've only gotten through it one time, but Mike Taylor Quartet Mandala. I think you know, Matt, I know you're going to see this, that you know what you're up to, you know what you're doing. You and the folks at Jazz in Britain, this is just fantastic. It's like a literal gold mine that you have tapped into with these recordings that you're releasing, because this is some really vital music. This is early stuff with John Heisman, who started the band Colosseum on drums, Tony Reeves, another name that we know from Prague. This is the early days playing jazz. And as the inner sleeve says, what's really important about this, I would say, and it's important, is the vitality of the approach of the players to the music. It's not that these are like stellar John Coltrane level of musicians. It's more the spirit. Like, for example, they do Night in Tunisia, which is a standard. But their approach is slightly different, which makes it like, ah, that's a nice approach. Jazz in Britain, very, very seriously. Jazz in Britain, you see that label, and you're into jazz, buy it. You know you're getting something. You know you're going to get something good. Here's an album that goes back to my original record collection as a boy. There's my names to prove it, because I was just a geek. Ars Nova, Sunshine and Shadows, 1969. I probably got this album in 1969 or 70. It was cut out. This is a really, really good album. elements of jazz, classical, and then almost an ersatz rock sound. It's almost like it's like they're not into rock, but they're using it as a vehicle to try to get this music out. Jimmy Owens on trumpet, fantastic. Sam Brown on guitar, okay, all right. Wyatt Day on guitar, really good musicians, the whole band, okay. One of my old survivors. And then I took time out to play this because I was seeing it posted a lot and hadn't played it in a while. German classical rock band, Novalis, Sommerabend, and this is good. It's good. It's a little eggheady in a way, if you know what I mean, but it's good, and it's also on the very collectible Green Brain label. Of course, the Brain Metronome labels are the ones that really go for money. I've got a few of those. So that's what I'll share. There's more records, but that's what I'll share. It's getting cold. We have to stay indoors. All over the world, numbers are rising with this unending viral situation we're in. Lockdowns being reported. Numbers are up here in Nebraska. I haven't got a booster yet because I'm hearing from friends who are getting the boosters it's making them sick. But I have a show Friday with RAF, our last show of the year, possibly our last show for a long time. I intend to get the booster a couple days before the show because I have to be out in public. But just take care, people. Be safe. For those of us, and I will include myself, for those of us who can speak and can address ignorance and people in around us in our lives who are lost or distracted and pumped full of disinformation to the point that their energy is shitty, negative, unloving, try to help them out. Try to show them some love and patience and try to help them get their shit together. Because I find that that's a big part of what is a big part of my role in my life, in other people's lives, and in my community, is to be an encourager, a supporter, one who's accepting, and one who is willing to share encouragement to step out of the madness, the ignorance, the very purposeful quagmire of disinformation that we live in now. So if you're a person that has any light to share, please do. Because I was just at rehearsal with REF yesterday, talking in between songs and to the guys, and I love the guys in REF, the punk band I'm in, but that particular group of people in general are not like people that I talk to. It's very interesting. But one thing was for sure is that none of us are under any illusion that anything is getting better in the world. So we encourage each other to just really try to focus on the personal for enrichment and fulfillment. The summit, the climate summit, is again another perfect example of all talk, no action. And that's all we're going to get, because that's the way it is when you're on top of the hill. The people below you, you know, you'll talk, but they mean nothing to you. You're not going to do nothing to upset your happy little corner. That's what we're dealing with. Anyway, have a good day, people.